The advent of prophecy. Unrest. Muhammad was approaching his 40th year. He felt a mystifying internal unrest, yet he did not know the rationale behind it. He was himself not aware what the inexplicable confusion meant to him, nor did the idea that God was about to honor him with revelation and prophethood ever crossed his mind. This was how the prophet felt, as has been attested by God in the Quran. And thus we have inspired in thee, Muhammad, a spirit of our command. You knewest not what the scripture was, nor what the faith. But we have made it a light whereby we guide whom we will of our bondmen. And lo, you verily dost guide unto a right path. Quran 42:52. At another place, the inability of the prophet to know the reason for his internal unrest has been demonstrated in these words. You hast no hope that the scripture would be inspired in thee, but it is a mercy from your Lord, so never be a helper to the disbelievers. Quran 28:86. It pleased the will of God, all-wise and all-knowing, that his prophet should remain a stranger to the arts of reading and writing. His contemporaries could thus never accuse him of himself editing the divine revelations. This, too, has been subverted by the Quran to settle the matter as evidenced by the following verse. And you, O Muhammad, was not a reader of any scripture before it, nor didst you write it with your right hand, for then might those have doubted, who follow falsehood. Quran 29:48. That is why the Quran calls him an unlettered prophet. Those who follow the messenger, the prophet who can neither read nor write, whom they will find described in the Torah and the Gospel, which are, with them, he commands them for al-Maruf, monotheism and all that Islam has ordained, and forbids them from al-Munkar, disbelief and all that Islam forbids. Quran 7:157. In the cave of Hira. Often Muhammad preferred the solitude of cave Hira, where he remained for as many days as the provision with him required, spending his nights in vigils and prayers, in the manner he thought reminiscent of the way of Ibrahim. It was the 17th Ramadan/August 6, 610 AD of the year following the 40th year of the Prophet. Muhammad was wide awake and fully conscious when the angel Gabriel came to him and said, "Read." Muhammad answered truthfully, "I cannot read." The Prophet related that the angel took and pressed him until he was distressed, after which he released him and said again, "Read." The Prophet replied for the second time, "I cannot read." The angel again pressed him tightly until he felt squeezed and then letting him go, said, "Read." When the Prophet replied once again, "I cannot read," he took him and pressed tightly a third time in the same manner. He then let the Prophet go and said, "Read, O Muhammad, in the name of your Lord who createth man from a clot. Read, and your Lord is the most bounteous, who teacheth by the pen, teacheth man that which he knew not. Quran 96:1-5. Back home. Upset and frightened by the strange experience which had never occurred to him earlier or having not heard of the same prior incident, the messenger of God came back with verses, his heart trembling, and went to Khadijah and said, wrap me up, for he still felt horrified. Khadijah asked the reason for the Prophet's restlessness and the latter told her what had happened. Khadijah, may Allah be pleased with her, was intelligent and prudent and had heard a great deal about the messengers of God, prophethood and angels from her cousin Waraka ibn Nawfal, who had embraced Christianity and familiarized the Torah and Gospels. She was herself dissatisfied with the pagan cult of the Makkans like several other enlightened ones who had broken away from the idol worship. Khadijah was the wife of the Prophet. She had spent many years with him as the closest companion and knew him like she knew herself. By that alliance, Khadijah became the most reliable and credible testament of the nobility of her husband's character. Worthiness of his moral fiber had convinced her that succor of the Lord would in any case stand by such a man. She knew in her heart of hearts that the good grace of God could never allow one so high-minded, truth-loving, trustworthy and upright man such as her husband, to be possessed by a jinn or a devil. And so she assured him with domineering self-confidence, "By no means, I swear to God that he would never embarrass you. Because you consolidate and salvage relationships, you speak the truth, you bear people's burdens, you help the destitute, you entertain guests and you relieve the pain and grief suffered for the sake of truth." Prediction of Waraka ibn Nawfal. Khadijah had tried to comfort and encourage her husband on account of what she thought was correct or on the basis of her own knowledge and understanding. But the matter was serious, crucial, and imperative. She had no peace of mind until she had consulted someone knowledgeable of the revealed religions, their history and scriptures, as well as the biography of the earlier prophets of God. Khadija wished to know for sure what had befallen her husband. Khadija knew that Waraka ibn Nawfal was the man who could clarify the matter. She took the prophet to Waraka, and when the prophet told him what he had seen and heard, Waraka cried out, "Verily by him in whose hand is Waraka's soul, lo, you art the prophet of this people. There hath come unto thee the greatest Namus, Archangel Gabriel, who came unto Moses at his time. A day will come when you wilt be called a liar, your people wilt maltreat thee, cast thee out and fight against thee." The prophet was surprised to hear Waraka's premonitions, for his fellow citizens had always received him with courtesy and esteem. They addressed him as the trustworthy and honest. Holding his breath in amazement, he demanded from Waraka, "What? Will they expel me?" "Yes," replied Waraka, "for no man has ever brought anything like what you hast brought without being opposed and fought by his people, which hath always been so. If I live to see that day, I shall stand by thee." The prophet waited, day after day, but no revelation came for a long time. Then, it began again, so the revelation of the Quran started to manifest itself little by little and then in quick succession, and was completed throughout the entire period of 23 years.